Welcome to the Mavens Do It Better podcast. And now, your host, Heather Newman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mavens Do It Better podcast, where we speak with extraordinary mavens and experts who light up our world. Today, I am in New York City, thrilled to be sitting in the East Village.
That's right.
Because I needed to get that right. And I'm sitting here with members of the Oddysy. DJ Johnny Juice has been on the show before, and we're here with KJ as well, the other part of the band, the Oddysy. Fellas, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello to everybody.
Howdy.
Howdy. So I got to see the fellas play live this last weekend at the El Cortez in Bushwick, and it was awesome.
We were glad to have you out there.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. It was terrific. So I missed y'all when you were out on the West Coast for NAMM.
I know. How ironic is that?
No, we were ships that pass in the night. So I wanted to have these guys on because they're amazing, and it's wonderful to see two folks come together with musical backgrounds that are a little bit, I guess, maybe different.
Disparate.
Different.
Exactly, yeah.
That, and wanted to just tell everybody about who you are, what you're doing, what you're working on, and how it's been, blending kind of two worlds of music. So, yeah. KJ, do you want to?
Well, that's the most exciting part for me is the idea that two such different musical voices came together. It's my favorite part about this project. It's been inspiring. We wrote this upcoming record over the course of, I don't know, the better part of a year, I guess, together, sending files back and forth, very, very modern, totally digital, and it was just it was a writing experience like I've never had before, and I really it's the way that I think I would like to do it going forward now, forever. I mean, it's very incredibly creative. It was, being able to trust the other person creatively and know that the stuff coming over is going to be of a certain level, which is a very high level, and to be able to freely write to it and send it back and have a creative exchange of ideas. It's been a wonderful process.
And you are the lead vocalist.
That's right.
And you play the bass.
That's right. Yeah. In terms of the writing the record, we shared a lot of the duties. Mostly we have things that we do. Most of the time, Juice sends over tracks, beats, and arrangements and orchestrations. But a couple of the tracks on there have elements of beats that I put together, pieces of lyrics that Juice wrote. Juice played bass on at least one song, which is ironic. That I'm a bass player and I didn't write on the whole thing.
Right.
So live we definitely have our separate domains, but with the record it was very collaborative. Whoever was closest to the instrument that needed to go down and had a vision, that's who did it. And I love that there are no sacred cows, that that you can just feel free to be creative in whatever way the music asks for at the time.
Yeah, and just seeing, I've heard many of the songs already before seeing you live, and it's just amazing to me. It sounds like you look up there and you're like, there's two dudes up there, and it sounds so full, like there's like a full band and practically an orchestra. So Juice, you've produced for a long, long time, and putting stuff like this together. How has it been for you working with KJ on putting together the album?
Well, it's very organic. I have worked like that with quite a few people in recent years out of necessity, because I was inaccessible, or they were inaccessible, or people would email me from the other side of the country or the world and say, hey, I need this done, I need that done. And a lot of times they couldn't come to my studio when I was in Long Island. Then I moved upstate New York, and then it was even harder to reach me. So I started becoming comfortable with that process. And then that's how KJ initially hit me. He said, yo, can you do some scratching on some records? And I'm like, sure. And the emailing part is the easy part. The hard part is trusting the other person to actually, kind of align with your vision too. Now, when I do work for hire, I don't care. I do whatever they ask me to. They want me to do this, I do it, and that's it. But when it's your own thing, it's different. You kind of have a feeling of what you want it to be,
right?
And then you hope that the other person you're working with understands that. As a producer, which is separate, like if I'm producing somebody else's work, I'm trying to bring out what the artist is really trying to say. If it's myself, I'm trying to bring out what myself is trying to say because I'm the artist. So some of the tracks I sent to KJ, I had titles for already, and I'm like, hey, this is what I call it. And when he sent, the very first song he sent back that we did like that was Cold Blooded. And he sent it back, and it was literally exactly what because I actually wrote something, but I didn't tell him what I wrote. I didn't tell him at all. Because I sang something in the shower, actually, and I'm like, And when I wrote it, I said, this is what it's going to be. Then I'm like, you know what, let me send it to KJ, see what he does. And I gave him a title, but I didn't tell him anything other than what the title was. I didn't give him the melody, anything, and he brings back the same exact melody that I sang. And it was ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was going to do anyway.
Wow.
Maybe not the lyrics exactly, but it was close. It was actually the chorus is exactly the same, but close enough. So I'm like, wow, this looks like it may work. So almost everything I sent him, it was like right on the nose, boom. And it's interesting. It was surprisingly wonderful. And then you learn to trust that. It's like, I know KJ's going to come through with something hot. And of course, he came through with some different arrangements.
Sorry.
You have to delete that because we're violating copyright. So him bringing back what he brought back was great. Also, arrangement things like if he felt something different in the arrangement, or he felt like a chorus should be here instead of that being that area being extended, he would send those back too, and then I would modify what I have, and then I would add things on top of it. It was kind of like we were both in the kitchen cooking, and he started on one side of the kitchen, I started on the other side of the kitchen, but then at the end, we're just throwing stuff in each other's bowls and we're mixing it all together, and it's worked great, and I haven't had that in this way in a long time. The closest was probably the Bomb Squad, Public Enemy. But that was more of a big fight to try to put your vision on the record. So this guy's like, put this sample in. This guy's like, no, that's dissonant. And then this guy's saying, what the hell does dissonant mean? And then this guy's saying, you know what, both of you guys get out of here and I need some french fries from across the street. So eventually that friction is what made Public Enemy's music sound angry and like that friction, because it was. They're trying to figure out whose voice is going to be loudest on this record. It ended up being Chuck's. But musically, it was everybody, kind of like, trying to get their piece onto this record. Where it was the opposite. It was like, what don't we need? And let it breathe, and that's cool, being...
Let it breathe.
Being for sure.
Having space is hard for a lot of artists. So.
Well, and connecting sometimes is hard. Like sometimes some of the those best hottest relationships are where you're pulling each other's hair, right? And
Absolutely.
then other times it's like, what can it be easy?
Well, I don't have any hair, so that's a good thing.
But the relationship thing is exactly what it is, and the that sort of creative tension and the give and take, and finding a creative mate, that Lennon and McCartney, Richards and Jagger kind of thing. They're few and far between, and I think you got to feel lucky when you find somebody that you can sort of open up to creatively and trust creatively and have that back and forth.
Yeah, and that doesn't always happen.
No, rarely, actually.
And we're leaving in all the sirens and all the horns.
It's New York City,
That
baby.
is New York City, baby.
That's right.
So we're going to leave those in for some flavor.
All right.
Of course. And with the album coming out sometime this year?
Yeah, it's imminent now. I mean, it'll be out in the next month or so. I would think,
yes.
And we're excited. I mean, it's been a while putting it together. We had to we went through this process of getting to know each other and discovering each other and writing these songs, and then sometimes rewriting portions of them because the relationship had developed. And then we have some just absolutely amazing guest artists. We're honored to have Chuck D from Public Enemy, and Darryl McDaniels DMC from Run DMC, the guys from Leaders of the New School, Charlie Brown and Dinko and Milo, Garrett Scheider from Parliament Funkadelic. I mean, it's going to be a star-studded record, and but it's, you know, and that's the icing on the cake. But the cake really has substance as well. I mean, we worked hard and we wrote what we felt was true and real and natural, and I'm proud of us for doing that. We didn't go after a market. We didn't try hard to write pop songs that would be acceptable. Yeah. We wrote our personal truths, and they became our collective truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I wouldn't call it poppy. You know what I mean?
But no.
Yeah.
We don't know. We never know really what to call it. It's got certainly strong elements of hip hop and jazz. Mm-hmm. It's got elements of soul. It's, you know, the pop comes in. If it comes in at all, it's in the fact that there is a discernible verse and a chorus and a bridge. There are hooks.
Oh, sure.
We write hooks but we write hooks because we do that naturally. Both Juice and I have been in and out of the realm of popular music, whatever that is. And hip hop is popular music. Yep. Jazz was the popular music of its age. Mm-hmm. So Juice and I just both write hooks. That's what we enjoy doing, hooks and grooves. So in that respect, you could call it pop, but not from the standpoint of Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. Which are yummy, but you don't want to eat a lot of them, you know? How long have you been playing bass?
I've been playing the better part of 20 years.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
20, maybe even 25 years.
That's a long time.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
I've come a long way around.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school for music. I studied jazz originally. I studied with and played with some amazing people, and was very lucky to do so, and then found my way into the rock business and rock and pop and R&B.
Yeah, and you're South African.
Well, I was born in I was born in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
From there, we immigrated to Toronto, Canada, and then to Philadelphia, which is where I did much of my growing up, and then went to school in Philly, University of the Arts, and then I moved to New York.
Yeah, interesting. When did you first put the fingers on the record?
Put my fingers on the record, man. It had to be like 79 or 80. I had a cousin named Benji, and I haven't seen Benji. He's my mother's cousin. I haven't seen him in a long time. Last time I saw him was, unfortunately, my grandmother's funeral about a year ago. But before that, I haven't seen him in a long time. And the first thing he said was, "You got to tell my son the story." And I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "Tell him who influenced you." And I'm like, "You." And he goes, "I told you." It's like nobody believes him, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, yeah. So my mom's favorite uncle, Dear Louis, his youngest son was Benji. And we would go over there because my mom loved Dear Louis. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of them were a lot older than my mom's cousins. So
where was that?
That's in the Bronx.
In the Bronx. Yep.
So I was not very satisfied sitting in the living room with old people, you know. So I'm a little kid, I'm like, come on, man. It's like, you know, what am I doing here? Eating like them little weird Stella Doros, or, you know, whatever they had. You know, so I'm like, yeah.
I like those things.
So I hear music coming from Benji's room, so I went up there. I'm like, you know what? Since he's the youngest. And I found out recently he's only a couple of years older than me. I'm thinking he's like 10 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
He's only a few years older than me. So I went up there, and he had equipment. I mean, so I was like, yeah. I went up there. It was like the Starship Enterprise, all this equipment and lights and stuff. And I'm like, what? I need to be in this room, kid. You know what I'm saying? And
toys to play with.
And he wasn't really like a scratch DJ or anything like that. He just kind of mixed and stuff. But you know, one day he's like, "Hey, you want to try it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So you know, I went on there and did a little something. That was it. And I'm like, "Yo, I gotta buy that." My mom was like, "You ain't buying nothing." And I ain't buying nothing. So I would hang out, and I was a breakdancer. I was a b-boy at the time, a rocker. So I would always be around the DJs, but I was too young. They wouldn't let me get on the turntables.
Oh, okay.
And so eventually I found a dude named DJ Will who had equipment and rappers, and he would like me around the b-boy, but they would go smoke their weed because that was their thing, and that was the time. That was my opportune time to jump on the turntables. So I hoped that they would smoke as much as possible. And he'd have a whole posse, so I'm like, they're going to be a minute, you know what I'm saying, because they got to pass, you know. So while they're doing that, I just got busy.
I would have gone into smoking the weed, but whatever.
Well, the turntables are more important than the weed to me, so.
All right, you got to have your priorities. I respect that.
And I got good real fast.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, he told me about another dude named Hig, who was a bomb DJ that did clubs. And Will was dope with cuts, and he did mixtapes. He was the first person I heard cut his name. He took Play That Beat by Globe and Wiz Kid, where it said, the DJ Will play this for you. And he took it and said, DJ Will, because that was his name.
Nice.
DJ Will. And I'm like, oh! I was like, oh! Yeah, I was bugging. I'm like, I got to find a record with my name in it. So, you know, and then I hung out with Hig, and then Hig's younger brothers was a KBMC, and he said, you guys should get together and be like a little rap group. And his younger brother grew up to be Charlie Brown from the Lisa Middle School, and that's how I had my little crew.
There it is.
Okay.
Charlie Brown, who we played with the other night at the show you came to with Leaders in the New School, Dinko and Milo. So it all does come full circle.
And Buster was a member of my B-boy crew. So
Buster
Buster was a member of my B-boy crew.
Oh my goodness.
So I found him. He found me actually at a roller skating rink, asking me to be down with my crew. And him and his little brother Paul, and they were super energetic, and he was popping. He wouldn't stop. Yo, you gotta put me down. You gotta put me down. I'm like, calm down, my man. You know, it's no, you gotta. Yo, come on, right now. And I'm like,
can we just spend a moment thinking about Busta Rhymes on roller skates?
That was yeah.
But that's a good picture that I'm going to have in my head for a little while.
But that was back in those days. That was the spot. We go to Levittown roller rink, and we skate around, and then the last hour they would let us take the skates off and just dance. Right. So that was what we were all really waiting for. So when that was done, took the skates off, and then we battled. We battled all the break dancers, and everybody came, you know, to see that. And I was at the time when I just moved to Long Island from the Bronx. I bought a lot of stuff that they didn't see in Long Island yet. So people were either looking for me to battle me or to be part of my crew.
Right.
And Buster was trying to be part of my crew. I named him Kid Craze because he was nuts, and he was down with the crew, and you know, and we won a lot of battles. We did our thing, and eventually, you know, and I met Brown, who was going to school with me, so I knew him, but I didn't know him, you know. And I'm like, hey, I know that guy. You know, when Haig introduced me to him, I'm like, who the hell's that in your house? Man, I know that kid. He goes to school with me. I hate him because that's my brother. I'm like, what? So then eventually he's like, he rhymes. You should get together. So we formed a little crew, and eventually Buster became part of the crew. And we were called the Bum Rush Crew.
Right. Me,
Charlie Brown, and Busta Rhymes, but their names were KBMC, that was Charlie Brown's name. His name was Brian. And everything was Crush Groove, you know, Cold Crush. So he was Crush BMC, Crush Brian MC, and then Trevor's, Busta Rhymes' name was MC Chilowski. Terrible name. But
it's like my Polish grandmother, right?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
That's good. You're a Polish rapper? Yes, I'm MC Chilowski. Would you like some pierogies? So,
yes, I would.
I would too. So, you know, eventually Chuck D changed their names, gave him Busta Rhymes and Charlie Brown.
Okay.
But that's how I started out as a b-boy, transitioning to a DJ, and you know, meeting these guys in Long Island. So I really kind of became a DJ more on Long Island than I did in the Bronx. Whereas in the Bronx, I was this b-boy dude.
Got it. Two personas, different boroughs.
Yeah.
That's how New York does it.
I know, depending. So where did Juice come from?
I was named that when I was born. I was born very, very early. I was premature, and back in those days, they didn't have the technology they did, so they didn't know if I was going to make it. Mm-hmm. And I was the oldest of my generation, so when I was born, everybody was in the hospital. But back in those days, only the father and the mother were allowed to see the baby. Right. So everybody lied and said they were my pops, you know, or my mom. My mom's a tomboy, so all her friends were like, I'm a father. They all wanted to see the baby, right? So, I know, right? So one of my mom's good friends, Gabe, and his younger brother, Roland, was best friends with my father. Gabe came and saw me, and, you know, my mom's was like, you know, worried, and she's like, don't worry about it, man. He'll make it, man. He got the juice. You know what I'm saying? So, and he goes, what are you going to call him? I'm going to call him Johnny after his father. Yeah, little Johnny Juice. And that was it. And I didn't really use it in a hip-hop sense until I got a little older, but maybe, you know, getting into double digits in age, I said, yo, I'm going to use the name Johnny Juice. And Gabe's still rolling around. He still calls me Juice, and he wants a cut.
It's like, I did that. And everybody calls you KJ.
My mom started calling me KJ, actually. My parents were divorced and remarried, and my mom changed her name, and so we had different last names. And I think that, you know, it just sort of, it came out of of that. Us having different names, and I being she actually just started me. She calls me K or KJ, and I didn't use it for the longest time. I just wanted to be Kevin, and for your listeners, KJ stands for Kevin Jacoby, which is actually my name.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. My friend group started calling me that, a few years ago, and it just started. I just started calling myself that after a while. It just stuck.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot easier to spell.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of namings and words and all that sort of thing, the Oddysy.
Yeah. So the Oddysy,
which is the name of the band,
yeah.
Just so we're clear.
Strangely enough, I made a list of names that I wanted to. When I was thinking of names for the band, I wanted to call it a bunch of different things. Originally, it was called DX7. It was named after a famous keyboard that Yamaha made, and somebody convinced me, perhaps rightly so, that we were never going to win the search engine wars with DX7 because the first 9,000 pages of the search are, and maybe that should matter to me, and maybe it didn't. But I figured, well, okay, it's as good a reason as any to change it. So I made a list of names, and the Oddysy came from, I had just watched Spinal Tap, and at the end of, somewhere towards the end of the movie, the lead character, I think is David St. Hubbins, he said something along the lines of, we're not going to do a freeform jazz Odyssey in front of a festival crowd, which in context was hysterical to me.
Right.
And that sort of was the grain that gave birth to the idea of the word Odyssey. And then spelling it the way we did, I think I just like it's spelled ODDYSY.
Yep.
And that's where you can find us online, The Oddysy, ODDYSY.com, and on social media, The Oddysy. And I like, Juice and I, we are the quintessential odd couple. We are Felix and, what's the other one? Oscar, yeah, thank you.
Felix Unger and Oscar Madison.
I knew you'd know the last names.
That's
Juice is like a font of esoteric knowledge.
Because I'm Felix. I'm freaking. I'm all like detail oriented, and Kevin doesn't give a shit. Meanwhile, sometimes I just don't give a shit. It just depends on what the shit is.
It's possible that we trade back and forth. Actually,
Right.
I have my anal moments
Yes,
too.
he does too. So he's very, very particular about certain things. But I think everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's a total journey. It's an odd couple musically. It's a journey musically. It's an odd collection of backgrounds and voices and musical things. I always pictured it having other voices besides ours as well. And the reason that we have so many guest artists on it on the record was because Juice and I discussed early on having this odyssey, this journey of musicality involving other feelings, other artists, other points of view, and so we it was a plan. It's not just. It's sort of done these days, like everything is featuring somebody because it's good for, from a marketing perspective. Yeah. For us, it was more of a creativity perspective. And I remember talking about it, and Juice brought up the fact, and I wholeheartedly agree with this, that we needed to put people on who had similar voices. We need to put people on whose art we respect, and whose voice we like and would listen to anyway. And that's how this group of people sort of assembled.
Yeah. Well, that's like any journey, and the Odyssey, the story from way back, it's like you have your main characters, and then it's weaved in and out of people come in and come out and all of that stuff, right?
Which is the story of New York. It's the story of creativity. It's the story of me and Juice. It's the story of music in general. It has far-reaching implications. Yeah. So don't tell anybody that it started from Spinal Tap.
I didn't know that either until right now. So
fair enough. So KJ, you sought out Juice. So tell me the exact kind of like how it happened, like the connection.
We had sushi. No,
I took a long walk in the park.
We held hands. Before the genesis of the project was me doing an EP. I was working with famous audio engineer named Scott Hull from Masterdisc.
The
Incredible Hull,
okay.
who's worked with everybody, Sting and Jay-Z and Metallica and Dave Matthews, everybody. So he was a friend way back when I was with a band called Cecilia on Atlantic Records a million years ago. We kept in touch over the years and eventually decided we wanted to do a project together.
Right.
Long story short, it was going to be a 5-song EP, and I wrote a song which called Incantation, and I heard scratching on it, and I had known Juice previously from a whole other lifetime and a whole other group of people that we were with, and called him and asked him to scratch on the record, and he very graciously agreed. But when he sent over the stuff, I didn't realize, not having come from the hip-hop background myself, I didn't realize the scope of what was possible with turntables. Mm-hmm. Juice is a turntablist in the most creative, artistic sense of the word. Yeah. And I expected scratching, just scratching like what you think scratching on a record would be. And exactly. Yeah. And I got that, but I also got tracks full of what sounded to me like a chorus of voices, like synth with a bunch of reverb on it, and he did something so unbelievably musical. And Incantation is on Spotify right now. You can listen to it and you can hear what he did. So he has a scratch solo in the middle, which is what I originally asked for. And then I said, if you're hearing something on the verse chorus, let me know, and don't let me know. Just lay it down and send it over. I don't care. I trust you creatively. Even all the way back then, I still did. And he sends back this symphony of sound, and I'm like, holy shit! This is my mind is blown. I had no idea that this was possible, and that's what originally gave birth to the idea of us putting this thing together. I thought, if he can do just that on the hook of a song that I sent him, what could we do together on a whole record? What could we do together live? And that's how this happened.
That's the spark, yeah. And for you, getting that song, and because lots of people you work with and you produce, and you was there something about this specifically when you were working on it? Was it like, okay, this is interesting, or like for you, what was sort of the moment where you're like, oh yeah?
Well, he sent me a bunch of songs.
Okay.
He said, what do you think? I told him, maybe 2 could use scratching. I said, as a producer, I would say maybe 2 could possibly use it. The rest I think sound fine. You don't need them. That's my producer side. My DJ side is like, whatever. How much you paying me? But I mean, I'll scratch anything you want. I don't care what it. But I've become more discerning because it's not about the money to me. If it doesn't fit, I will let somebody know. I'm like, that's not. I wouldn't do that. If you still want it, fine. But I always go into this producer mode for some reason, even when I'm not supposed to, which is good sometimes and it sucks other times. So I told him, what, I'll do, I'll work on a couple of them, but I mean, I think it was 2 of them, Incantation and another one. I said, those I think could use some scratching. The rest I think are fine, you shouldn't touch them. He said, fine, whatever. So like he said, just do whatever you want, and I did. And then he hit me back asking me about performance.
Right.
Very specifically about performance. Right. So he goes, I want to go on the road, I want to do this kind of stuff, but and then he was like, it was very specific. I want to do this, but I don't want a whole band, and I want a guy that can, kind of play the tracks, but not just DJing them, but kind of like really, manipulate the songs live. And then at the same time, I need a guy that can do scratching, and then I need some guy that could possibly do synth work or something. So I'm like, are you asking for a guy or are you asking for me? Because there's like 3 people in the United States that can do that right now, like, effectively. And, and he's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, that sounds cool. And then he goes, you wouldn't happen to have any beats laying around, would you? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. So I sent them the joints, and then that kind of did it. I mean, I was always digging his voice. It has this little edge of grit, but at the same time, it's very smooth and kind of like it's like ethereal, kind of floats. But it's not like floaty in like a real corny way. It's kind of rooted in this dirt that you can hear underneath it, and it's good. Even when his voice cracks, it cracks the right way. So I'm like, I can dig this, It's like a ghetto Sting, kind of. But
ghetto Sting, I like it. All right,
I
I'll
mean,
take
the
it.
Sting, that definitely.
I mean, he was a
Yeah.
big influence, obviously, and he's a tall, skinny bass player that sings.
Right,
So
right, yeah, right.
So I dug it. And when I sent them, like I said, I sent them a couple of tracks. The first track I sent them, and when he came back with what he came back with, I'm like, yo, this is it, man. So I sent him more. I'm like, yeah, just keep writing, and he sent me more stuff back, and before you know it, there's an album done. So
it's funny. We were talking about relationships before, and Juice recounting this is sort of reminding me of a bunch of stuff. It jogged my memory about how this whole thing came about, and we were talking about how the creative relationship is like any relationship. You have to sort of trust, and you have to have a little bit of a shared history and things in common, but enough differences so that it's edgy and interesting. And the process that Juice was just talking about is really like meeting to a first date, to a first kiss, whatever. And the marriage is this, we started a band and and had a baby. This record is the baby,
Right.
and it's really incredible how art imitates life like that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
we also love food. See,
That's right.
We're both foodies.
That was a huge factor here. Let's not discount the food factor.
And those were our dates. We
Those
went
were
out for
our dates.
sushi. We went out
sushi
for
with the Indian. I mean, yeah, and then
Juice taught me the most important culinary phrase on the planet: "If you ain't sweating, you ain't eating."
right. So
And I live by that.
right, I remember we had the Vindaloo at
Vindaloo,
at
and I'm
Curry
like,
Lane,
I'm
Brick Lane
drenched.
Curry House. Yeah, and he's
Sweat.
like, you gotta try this Vindaloo juice. I'm like, no doubt. So, and that's a good metaphor for the music. Also, it's about the ingredients. Even though we both have a very similar base spice rack.
Mm-hmm.
We both have spices that the other ones don't have. We both were rooted in groove and jazz. I'm a big jazz head, a big jazz person. KJ is obviously well versed and trained in jazz, but my hip hop is rooted in the jazz mindset. And then, of course, hip hop itself is rooted in funk and soul. So, and breakbeat type things. So, I'm a percussionist and a drummer. So my stuff is beat oriented, but you got to make it interesting, and it kind of fills in the holes that KJ has, and then KJ stuff fills in the holes that I have. Mm-hmm. So it just works, and sometimes you don't feel like asking why. You just let it work,
Yep.
Why try to figure it out? It's
Why
working.
ask why?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
dry.
absolutely. Well, and for the listeners, so album's coming out soon, and there's already tracks up on Spotify.
Yeah, there's 2 singles we released on Spotify, Incantation and Alone, and they both have videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you can just, funny enough, and talking about SEO, Google and YouTube try to correct you and spell the Odyssey correctly.
Oh, wow.
So you have to say, it assumes that you meant the Odyssey like Odyssey, like the actual word. So you have to click on the thing that says, no, I actually wanted to search for ODDYSY. But anyway, if you go on Google and YouTube, you can find the 2 videos, and we're proud of those, and we're getting ready as soon as the record's done and our director is free. Otto Sando, we have
Trust in Me.
we're going to do Trust in Me with DMC. We're going to do a trilogy of new videos.
I think we're going to do a video for every song on the album.
That's the plan.
Love it.
So,
Which is up to what, 13, 15 songs?
15 songs.
15
Wow.
songs we're going to do.
Yeah, and I love that first video shot in the subway. It's so well. Actually, well,
That's
that was
the second
the
video,
second
yeah.
video. The one is was that here?
That was at Masterdisc. Actually,
Okay.
Scott Hull, that was the song that started it all, Incantation.
Right.
And Scott Hull produced that song, and we did it at Masterdisc Studios. With Scott, and that was really the first time we ever played together.
Wow, yeah, Superman sweater.
Superman.
Batman. I did Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it wasn't planned.
It wasn't planned at all.
No way.
Nope.
Nope.
I showed up with a Superman sweater. He had the Batman stuff on. I'm like, holy crap.
Okay. Superhero
Meant to be.
Odyssey. Yeah. Well, and the other one shot in the subway. And it's New York is like sort of a part of both of you too.
Very
I
much.
loved seeing that in the videos.
That was Otto's idea.
Yeah.
We shot it in the Clinton, Washington stop at the train, which is right near Otto's house, and the catalyst for that was this sort of endless vista that you get when you stand at one end of the station, and it goes back to the horizon line. It covers 2 blocks. This thing, it's really incredible to look at, and then. The song covers the idea that we're all together but we're all alone, which is what I so love about New York City.
Yeah.
I'm a loner, but I feel more comfortable because I'm in and around 9 million people who also are loners.
Yeah.
I love that about this place.
Absolutely.
And so Otto's idea was to get a bunch of his incredibly talented actor friends together and tell a visual story, mostly with portraits, but in video form, and it came out so beautifully. It's just, I give him all the credit, and it was just a visual masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. So
Thank
beautiful. You. Yeah, and so in the show notes, folks, I'll make sure and put in how to follow both of these lovely fellows. You're the Royal KJ.
The Royal KJ, yeah.
Yes, and DJ Johnny Juice on Instagram and Twitterati's and all of that kind of stuff, and the website. And and those of you who are my marketing people, this is some really beautiful music. Give it a listen, because I think it would be beautiful in some sort of fun commercial or movie. It's so good.
Yeah, we would love that. I would consider it an honor to be part of what is. It's such a part of modern media now, having mixing music with the visual arts, and advertising and marketing has become an art form in and of itself, because finding new ways into people's consciousness, and I would love to have our music as part of something that's done well, directed well.
Almost all the music I compose was specifically aimed towards that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've done a lot of film scoring lately, and I've had my music in a lot of commercials and trailers, and I kind of write that way now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it has this grandiose feeling, even the simple stuff, and it mates well with visual imagery, and I don't think I do it purposely. In the sense where I'm like, this needs to be in a commercial, but I do it naturally because we're visual creatures. We see things, and everything I see looks like music. I'm like Neo in the Matrix when he finally becomes aware, and then everything becomes these numbers that he can see all of a sudden. I see the world like that. I see the world, and I see it in music. I see the vibrations coming at me. That's why New York is impossible to replicate anywhere else. There's nothing like it, because New York is a city where when you walk out, it speaks to you in different ways. Not just, oh, that's nice, Statue of Liberty, or that's nice. It's not even that. It's even the mundane things, like a little grate that a cab drives over and creates this rhythm of and it all does something to me, at least. And
me too. When
I do that musically, I see that in movies. I see it in a scene. Remain. I see as a very somber part of something. Some kind of visual imagery where either somebody's leaving or somebody's coming or somebody's trying to figure out if they want to stay or not. I see those things, and I think it mates very well. So hopefully somebody picks something up and puts it somewhere. Not necessarily because I want to get rich, because who wants that?
I want that. I just like to put that out there. I would like that.
But I want a lot of people to hear this.
Yeah, me too.
This year-long or even a little longer collaboration is the longest I've ever taken to do an album, ever.
And what you hear at the end is love and truth and real stories.
Yeah.
I think that's increasingly rare in this day and age of sort of plastic tailor-made art. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of wonderful stuff out there too, but there's a lot of just sort of manufactured. Yeah, exactly. So I'd like people to know that we didn't manufacture this on purpose. We said something that we needed to say.
Yeah, well, it's deep and positive, and there's a lot of music out there right now that's whiny.
Yeah.
It's like the whiny dudes.
I agree.
I'm just like,
little bitch. Actually, we slid our wrists open, and this is what came out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about figuratively, obviously,
Yeah.
but that's what it feels like. You know, when I hear the stuff, it actually makes me feel a lot of things that I've necessarily haven't felt in other projects. I've done albums in a whole weekend, and I'm talking about good albums in a weekend, not like some disposable crap. And this right here was like the toughest thing to put together because, you know, it was literally a piece of me, you know, and I feel the same thing with KJ. So, you know, we hope that people identify with it.
Yeah, identify and connect. And find themselves in these stories because they're about everybody. They're about us, but they're also about everyone.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I have enjoyed them so much. Storytelling, you know, it's so great.
Storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. Well,
All right.
I think New York City beckons, and you know, it's like I love that you can sit here and just listen to our little symphony happening around us anywhere here in this city. I know there's just nothing like it.
Nothing like it in the whole world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah, so
except you can't buy weed here in the app.
I know. What the fuck? Can NYC get on that already, please? Because I'm heading back to California.
And on that note,
You guys know how to live.
yeah, we do okay up there. That's for sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, awesome. Well, so yeah, we're coming to you from the East Village here in Manhattan in New York City. And fellas, always a pleasure. And it was such a pleasure to see you live. And folks, again, we'll put everything up on how to find the Oddysy and the new album's coming soon. And there's beautiful videos up and amazing storytelling in their songs. So guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Heather. It was a pleasure as always.
Doubt. Yeah.
There's the dichotomy.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, everybody, you know, as per usual, you can find the Mavens Do It Better podcast up on iTunes. It's also up on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We're on Google Play. We're on all of the normal places and on Instagram, Twitter, and all that, and the mavensdoitbetter.com website. So another beautiful day on this big blue spinning sphere.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, all.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. The original music on this podcast was created by Jesse Case.